Have to talk about LeBron again. Just when you think he's run out of things to say that make absolutely no sense, he gets on his podcast, Mind the Game, and drops one of the wildest takes we've ever heard. That the 2020 Bubble Championship was the purest form of basketball. And brace yourself for this one. He engaged in mental warfare in elevators. I'm not kidding. That's what he said. I'm going to let you listen to LeBron say all this himself in a few minutes, but let's break this down. By the way, I was pointed to this story by Ricardo Avila, who sent me an email with suggesting this, and I thought it was a great idea, so here we go. Thank you, Ricardo. LeBron James is now telling us that having no distractions is somehow harder than having distractions. That being isolated from your family, not having to travel, not being pulled in 100 directions was harder than a regular NBA season filled with private jet flights, luxury hotels, autograph signings, media pressure, and screaming fans. According to LeBron, being in a 5-star resort with nothing to do but focus on basketball was actually harder than being out in the real world. I mean, let's just say it. This is the same guy who has spent the last few years mocking fans who say he has no bag, who has stat padded his way through seasons, and now he's rewriting history about the bubble being some kind of a psychological boot camp, for God's sake. It's LeBubble James at it again. You know what I think this really is? It's revisionist history. It's spinning a narrative to make the one ring he won in LA in a half-empty Disney gym sound like it was forged in the fires of Mount Doom. But then it gets funnier, because now we get to the elevator story. Oh yes. According to King James, one of the toughest moments of his legendary career was taking a 40-floor elevator ride back to his suite. You see, on that elevator ride was an opposing player who had been physical with him in the game. And now they had to ride the elevator together. LeBron described it as mental warfare. He said it was like, who's going to blink first? That's right. The toughest challenge LeBron faced in the bubble wasn't Jimmy Butler. Nah, no way. It wasn't guarding Jamal Murray either. Wasn't hitting clutch free throws. But it was not making eye contact in an elevator. Can you imagine Michael Jordan saying this? Listen to this. Yeah. It was the Pacers. It wasn't the Jazz. It was that 30-second elevator ride with Reggie Miller. He was standing behind me, breathing heavily. It was mental warfare. Come on, man. This isn't toughness. This isn't mental warfare either. This is what happens when you surround yourself with yes men who treat every word you say like scripture. And that brings us to the next part of the show. The Mind the Game podcast has quickly gone from interesting idea to LeBron James monologue hour. Steve Nash is technically the main host, but let's be honest. He's just there to nod along. Every episode has the same exact vibe. LeBron talks, saying something dramatic or historically questionable to keep his job. There's no pushback, no challenge, no questions like, hey, wait, LeBron, hold on. Are you really actually saying that being in a resort with no distractions is harder than traveling the country, balancing your family life, dealing with fans, the media, and the regular NBA grind? Nope. Instead, it's all, yeah, that's deep, LeBron. I agree. That's Steve Nash every single episode. Let me give you a real world comparison. Back in high school and college, me personally, whenever we had road games or week-long tournaments we went away for, especially those overnight trips where it's just the team, the hotel, and the game, you know what it did? It made everything easier. You locked in, no school stress, no girlfriend drama, no outside noise, no family, no nothing. Just basketball. Anyone who's played competitive sports knows that being in the zone, free of distractions, is a blessing, not a curse. But apparently for LeBron, isolation was the crucible that forged the most pure version of his greatness. LeBron, it's okay to just admit that the bubble was weird. We all saw it. It was an AAU tournament with grown men. It was strange. It had no fans. There were digital faces on the damn screen. No travel, no road game atmosphere, no home court advantage. It was basketball in a vacuum. And yes, you won it. Good for you. But let's not pretend you were climbing Everest barefoot in a thunderstorm. That trophy from that championship should have Mickey Mouse ears on it. Now don't get me wrong. I give credit where credit is due. LeBron still had to show up and ball out like everybody else. Winning an NBA championship in any format is no joke. But the idea that this championship was the purest form of basketball is just absurd. You want to talk about pure basketball? Let's talk about 97-98. Michael Jordan, 35 years old, exhausted, dealing with pressure of the last dance, every arena packed with hostile fans, traveling coast to coast, no load management, and still dominating every night. Let's talk about the 1980s, Celtics and Lakers, playing physical basketball with no flagrant foul calls. That was real mental warfare, not riding a Marriott elevator in silence, but I get it. LeBron wants to control the narrative. That's the whole reason this podcast exists. It's a chance to spin his legacy in real time. It is some kind of a response to The Last Dance from MJ, I bet you. But to those of us who've been watching this game for decades, it's just another example of how far the game's culture has drifted. We went from play through pain to mental warfare in a quiet elevator. That's the standard that LeBron James gives us. This is why so many fans from the 80s, 90s can't take this era seriously. This is why when older legends like Charles Barkley or even Kobe talk about toughness, they roll their eyes at stuff like this. It's also why Michael Jordan's presence is still so desperately wanted in today's NBA media. People want real talk, unfiltered. They want toughness. They want MJ to call it like it is. To sit down and say, yeah, I saw that episode. Elevator warfare? Come on, man. But anyway, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I'm going to show you exactly what LeBron said, as I said. This is straight from Mind the Game, the clip where he says the bubble was the purest form of basketball and that the elevator rides were almost unbearable. Let me let you listen to LeBron James as I promised in the beginning. This is the basketball show where I talk today's NBA, current events, news, players, and more. All completely unbiased, even though some people disagree, because any opposing opinion to weak people is always hating. Truth is truth, and I try to stand by that. Here's the clip.
Some people say it's like the purest form of basketball being in the bubble, like this experiment in a way. And then others like, oh, it's not real. At the end of the day, you're human beings competing. It doesn't matter if you're competing on the moon or in the bubble.
I agree with a lot of people say when it's the purest form of hoops, like it was strictly basketball. Like it is no, we're all like, have the ability to do whatever we want in life. We've made a bunch of money. We have all the access, that's gone in the bubble. You can't just, I'm about to go to a restaurant, or I'm about to do this, or I have this. You can't do none of that. Like, everything in the bubble was strictly about basketball. And obviously we was there, talking about a lot of the off the court things that was going on, the social injustice and the police brutality and stuff, all that, rightfully so. But when the basketball portion was the focus, that's all it was. Like, that's like that's mental warfare.
Right.
It's another level of being even more. Yeah, it's no escape. It's like, okay, I've battled this guy. He's pushed me. He's cursed me out. It's a physical game. And then when it's time for me to finally relax and go back and have a glass of wine, I'm bumping into this guy in the elevator.
Right.
And
you got to ride up with him
I got to ride up 40 floors to get up to my room. Whatever. It's another set of mental warfare. And it's like, who's going to be the one who's going to be the one that falls? Who's going to blink? And like, that was a very challenging, difficult thing, because you just don't want to be around the competition until I get on the floor.
Yeah, you want to save it for the when it counts.
Yeah, you want to save it for when it counts. So that's exactly what it was. So different. It's challenging for sure.
And there you have it. You see what I mean now? If your biggest adversity in a championship run was figuring out how to stand silently in an elevator without looking at your opponent, maybe your title isn't the war story you think it is. So LeBron, if you ever want to do a real podcast, one where someone actually pushes back, asks you a question, no nonsense, hit me up or one of the other guys. Until then, enjoy your elevator rides. This had been The Basketball Show. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below, and tell me if you think mental warfare in the elevator belongs in the Hall of Fame of wildest LeBron takes ever. I'll see you in the next one.